Yarrow reined the dun-gelding to a stop 3 feet from the gate. She had one boot already in the stirrup. The widower's hand was on the top rail, blocking the path, and he was not looking at her. He was looking at the calf in the dust behind them. "That brand is not mine," he said. "You said it was last night." "It is not mine," he said again, quieter. "It was never mine. The calf was a test, and you passed." Yarrow kept her hand on the saddle horn. The gelding shifted under her. Somewhere down the slope, a magpie screamed once, and the morning smelled of wood smoke and horse sweat and the cold iron of the rail under his knuckles. "The next test is harder," the widower said, "and it has nothing to do with cattle." That is where the story begins. Though to know how a young woman on her way to Abilene ended up at a stranger's gate 40 miles off her route, you have to roll the tape back 2 days. Settle in. This was the morning it happened. Yarrow was 19 and rode like she had been born in leather. Her father taught her to braid a rawhide riata before she could read. Her mother taught her to read a brand and never answer a question a man could answer for himself. By the time both her parents were dead, Yarrow had learned one more thing nobody had taught her: how to keep moving when there was no reason left to stop. She had been moving for 6 weeks. The ranches along the Chisholm paid in coin, a bed, and a hot meal, and Yarrow took all 3, said thank you, and left before the foreman could start measuring her for anything else. That morning, she was west of the Red River Fork, between a small outfit called the Bar H and the line cabin at Coyote Springs. The air had that dry cold of late October, when the sun warms your shoulders and keeps your shadow under your feet. The trail was empty. That should have been the first sign. A range the morning after a storm is never empty. Cattle wander. They find a low place, a patch of new grass, a corner of fence gone soft in the wet, and they go through it. The men who own them are out beating the brush to bring them back. This trail had no cattle, no riders, no dust. Yarrow slowed the dun to a walk, and that was when she heard the breathing. Not a horse breath, a small, broken, high sound, the kind a cracked bellows makes. It came from a thicket of salt cedar about 30 yards off the trail, and the thicket moved. Yarrow dismounted with the riata already in her left hand. She did not draw. She had no reason to draw. She walked the dun forward, leading, and the breathing got louder, and out of the salt cedar came a calf. The calf was maybe 4 months old. It was red. It had a brand on its left hip that Yarrow did not recognize, and it was shaking in a way that did not match the morning, because the morning was not that cold. The brand was fresh. She could see the pink at the edges, where the new skin had not yet grown over the iron. The calf looked at her. The calf did not run. A 4-month-old on the open range does not stand 2 feet from a stranger. A healthy one is 10 miles away, because that is what its mother told it to do. A 4-month-old that stands and looks has been weaned too early or separated, and in either case, it is going to die in the salt cedar by sundown, because it does not yet know how to drink from a creek, and the water is too far for legs that weak. Yarrow did not think any of this. Yarrow knew it. There is a difference. She put the riata over the calf's neck with one loop, the way her father had taught her, the way that does not spook. The calf did not fight. The calf let out one long, low sound, and Yarrow said, I know, easy, and the calf closed its eyes and leaned against her knee. The dun tossed its head once and then accepted, because the dun was a working horse and had done this kind of thing before. Yarrow's route to Abilene was no longer the route to Abilene. The calf was the route now, 40 miles off route, in a saddle she had owned for 6 years, with a calf that might not last the day, in country she had never ridden, and the widower who had been standing at his kitchen window since the thunderstorm broke, watching the road for a stranger with a strange brand and a strange kindness, was already pouring a second cup of coffee. But that is the next chapter. Yarrow did not ride the 40 miles. The calf rode the last 20 in her lap. And by the time the sun hit its warm angle, the calf had stopped shaking and started panting, which is worse. Panting means the body is using the lungs to dump heat it cannot afford to dump, because it does not have the fat to burn. Yarrow knew she had 4 hours, maybe less, before the calf lay down and did not get up again. The land told her at dusk. She came over a low rise, and there was the cabin, set back from the water with a small corral and a stack of split cedar. Smoke was coming out of the chimney, thin and straight, the kind of smoke that means a fire that has been burning for hours. A sorrel with a stocking on the left hind foot stood on a picket line out front. Yarrow dismounted with the calf in her arms. The calf weighed almost nothing. A 4-month-old that has been drinking should weigh near 60 pounds. This one weighed half that, which was the part that told her how bad it was. She did not knock. Knocking on a cabin door at dusk in country she did not know is a courtesy. A woman traveling alone can sometimes afford and sometimes cannot. And Yarrow had stopped being able to afford it about 10 miles back, when the calf's breathing had gotten so quiet she had had to stop the dun twice to be sure. She opened the door. The widower was sitting at the table with a cup of coffee, and he had been sitting there long enough that the coffee was no longer hot. He was maybe 40. He had a beard that was not trying to be anything, and hands that were the hands of a man who had spent 10 years pulling calves and mending wire. His eyes were the color of creek water after rain. He looked at Yarrow, and then he looked at the calf, and he did not stand up. "Set it by the stove," he said. Yarrow set the calf on a folded horse blanket. The calf lay down without being asked. The widower got up slowly, the way a man gets up when his knees have started to agree with him about the years. He poured warm water into a tin pan and set the pan in front of the calf. The calf did not drink. "That's mine," the widower said. He was not asking. He was telling her what the situation was going to be, the way a man who has been alone a long time tells a stranger what the situation is going to be. Because if he does not, the stranger will start asking questions, and he does not want to answer questions. Yarrow knelt beside the calf. She dipped 2 fingers in the warm water and let the water drip onto the calf's nose, the way her father had done with newborn colts. The calf sneezed once, which was a good sign. A calf whose nose works will live. A calf whose nose does not is past help. The calf licked its nose. The calf drank. The widower watched from the table. He did not offer to help. He stood in the middle of his own kitchen and watched a stranger teach his calf to drink, and Yarrow saw the muscles in his jaw go tight and then go loose, the way a man's jaw does when he is trying not to feel something he did not plan on feeling tonight. "There is a meal," he said, after the calf had drunk half the pan. "There is a bed in the corner. You can have one or the other, or both." "Both," Yarrow said. He gave her beans and salt pork and a heel of bread, and coffee that was not as good as his coffee had been 2 hours ago. He ate across from her and did not speak. The calf breathed by the stove. The fire ticked. That was the night. The bed was a cot with a single wool blanket, and Yarrow lay down in her clothes, with her boots still on, because a woman who sleeps in a stranger's cabin, with her boots off, is a woman who has decided to trust the stranger, and Yarrow had not decided that. She had decided to be in the cabin for the night. Those are not the same thing. In the second hour, the calf got up and crossed the floor and lay down against the cot, against her leg. Yarrow put her hand on its neck and felt the pulse. The pulse was steady and slower than it had been that morning. Slower means the body has stopped trying to die. Yarrow slept. The widower did not. He sat at the table and watched the fire, because the morning was the next part of the test, and he had been waiting for that part for a long time. That is the next chapter. Yarrow was up before the sun. The calf was still asleep against her leg. She eased out from under it, and the widower was not in the cabin. His coffee cup was on the table, still full, and the fire was out. She saddled the dun in the gray light. The calf got up on its own and followed her to the gate, which meant the calf was going to live, which meant Yarrow's job was done. A reason to stay, Yarrow had been raised to understand, is not something you go out and look for. It is something that finds you, the way a stray calf finds a stranger in a salt cedar. She put her boot in the stirrup. She swung up. She was about to put her hand on the saddle horn when she saw him at the gate, knuckles on the top rail, blocking the path. He had come around the corner of the cabin at a walk that was not trying to startle the horse, because if he startled the horse, the conversation would be over before it began. "That brand is not mine," he said. Yarrow looked at him. The sun was just over the rim of the canyon, and the pink at the edges of the brand was already less pink than it had been yesterday. "You said it was last night," Yarrow said. "It is not mine," he said again, quieter. "It was never mine. I branded a heifer 2 months ago with the same iron, in the same place, on a red calf I had bought from a man in Tascosa," the widower said. "I knew when I bought it that the calf had been taken from somewhere it should not have been. I knew if I branded it the same way and let it go, and the right kind of stranger found it, that stranger would bring it back, because the right kind of stranger brings calves back." Yarrow did not move. "I let the fence down on the south side the night of the storm. I let the calf go. I waited at the window for 2 days. "Why?" Yarrow said. The widower did not answer for a long time. He looked at the calf in the dust, and the calf looked back at him, and the calf did not move, because the calf knew him, because the calf had been his wife's, and the wife had been the one who had taught the calf to follow her around the kitchen. And the wife had been the one who had said, before she died, that a place with a calf in it was a place worth keeping. "Because my wife died in April," the widower said, "and the cabin has been too quiet, and I am not a man who knows how to go to town and ask a woman if she will come and live in a quiet cabin with a man she has never met. so I asked a calf to ask for me. Yarrow sat very still. The dun was very still. Neither of them moved. The calf was a test, the widower said, and you passed. You rode 40 miles off your route for a thing that could not pay you back. You taught my calf to drink when the calf was ready to give up. You slept in your boots in a stranger's cabin, which means you were not fool enough to trust me, which means you were fool enough to help me anyway, which is the only kind of fool a man like me knows how to live with. He took his hand off the rail. The next test is harder, he said, and it has nothing to do with cattle. Yarrow did not move. She sat in the saddle with her hand on the horn and looked at the widower, and the calf stood in the dust between them and breathed steady and slow, the way a body breathes when the body has decided to stay. What is the next test? Yarrow said. Come inside and find out. Yarrow swung down off the dun. She did not tie the horse. Working horses wait, and that is where we are going to leave them, a young woman who has stopped being on her way to Abilene, a widower at a gate who has learned the right kind of stranger was riding the same range he was, a red calf in the dust with a brand that does not match anybody's, and a kitchen table with 2 coffee cups on it instead of 1. Thank you for riding with me. Stories like this are why this channel exists. The West was not built by men alone, and it was not kept by women alone, and the good ones, the ones that lasted, were kept by both. If this one landed, leave me a comment with the line that hit you hardest, and ring that bell so the next stranger on the trail can find us. Subscribe if you want more. I will be here next week. Until then, mind your rein and mind your kindness, and we will see you on the next range.